Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Distinction. Glad that you're here. As you know, on the weekends, I just do a quick check-in, see how you're doing, see what's happening on, for some of us, a college football Saturday. My Indiana Hoosiers have looked good in spurts and have not done well against the big-time Ohio State Buckeyes. But at any rate, hope you're doing well wherever you are. I don't know what there is. It is like a plane doesn't fly over my house all day long, and then Daily Distinction happens, and there they go. And I expect the guy with the leaf blower to show up any moment. I'm serious. Glenn Morshower and I were sitting here a couple days ago outside, and everything was just so quiet and so silent. And as soon as the show came on, then the guy with the leaf blower is right on the other side of the wall here. It's crazy. Hey, Scott, happy Saturday. Good to see you. Hope you're doing great. There's my pal, Ken Walls. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for Ken and Glenn and a guy named Scott. We're going to be doing the show tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And Ken, looking forward to hearing about your time with our pal Jeffrey Gedimer. I know that you guys have had a big old time this week. Well, hey, on Saturday, it's just kind of a quick check-in. But I did have a thought I wanted to share with you today, and that is something that we need to be evaluating. And really, as we kind of get toward the last month of the year, finally, 2020 will be behind us. Maybe some of the things we need to think about in terms of what we're going to do for the future is to evaluate from this question. What's the price and what's the cost? Now, maybe it's just semantics, and you may have a different definition for this, but I just wanted to share real quickly today. I think those words mean two different things. And I think when we evaluate both of them, it helps us get to a better spot. It helps us make better decisions with what we're going to do with not just our money, but also our time and our energy and our emotion, all of that. So the price is your investment. In other words, that's what you're going to take of what you already have, right? So in other words, I pay the price with my effort. I pay the price with my energy. And I certainly also pay the price with my financial resources. So the price is, you go to buy a car and you negotiate a price. You negotiate a price of that car. That's where you end up. It's what your investment is going to be to acquire something. That's the price. But the cost is really both forms of ROI. The cost is what's the return I'm going to get on that investment. So the price of a house might be $300,000, but the cost is, is it in an area that's going to be growing? Is there going to be a return on the investment? Is there going to be, it talks about something completely different. Oh, you like that, Brian? I appreciate that. Charles, great to see you. And Darcy, yeah, man, until that pick six, I thought they're coming back. They're coming back. Oh, man, I don't know. Go Oregon Ducks. Hey, Brian, I've been on a Delta flight where the flight attendant was the mother of Micah Pittman. And we've stayed in touch because her stepson is Michael Pittman Jr. with the Colts. And she's just such a sweetheart, such an incredible, nice person. And she's a big Ducks fan. So, and Donovan, yeah, absolutely right. Perceived value. But it's perceived value that comes into play. So the cost is both forms of ROI. What would I get as a return on the investment? And part of that cost is, would I be better investing someplace else, right? Is the return on the investment adequate and valuable in terms of the price I'm going to have to pay? But here's the one that's overlooked. And that's, what's the return on inaction? And that can be negative or positive. In other words, the price of the car might be $40,000. But the cost on the return on inaction might be that this other car isn't going to need a lot of work. But if I keep what I currently have, the cost of inaction, the cost of not doing anything, might mean I'm going to have to repair the brakes. I'm going to have to fix the transmission. I'm going to have to there might be other things that come out of my pocket because I haven't taken action. There's a cost to that. I talk a lot about this now because of some of the coaching that I've received, and also hopefully some of the coaching and consulting and teaching I've provided. Um, for example, there was one program that I paid to enroll in that was $7,000. But through what I've learned with that program, uh, we've generated about $15,000 for our business so far with what I've learned from that $7,000 program. Okay, so the price of the program was $7,000, but the cost would have been a negative. I would have lost $14,000. Get my point? In other words, the cost of inaction would have been significant. So the cost of inaction was significantly more than the price of the program. It was twice the price of the program, right? So that's what I want us to be thinking about and evaluating is there's not just a price, but there is a cost in terms of is the return on this investment where I really need to be focusing, and what's the return on inaction? What happens if I don't do anything? So the questions we need to ask is, anytime we're making a decision here, is this worth the price? Do I have the resources to do it? Can I justify this expenditure? All of the things that come into play there. How does this compare with other opportunities? But is it worth the cost? Because if I don't do anything, if I save it, have I really cost myself opportunity cost, lost revenue, lost personal development cost? All of those kinds of things turn out to be absolutely critical. Hey, let me catch up here before we. You like that? Yep, the return on inaction. That's what it's about there. That's what it's about. Thanks, Carrie. I appreciate that. Good to see you as always. Hey, Larry. Good to see you. Yeah, I know, Ken. So I mean, I don't know if it happens at noon every day. They change the flight pattern or what it is. I'm setting up and not a single plane goes over, and all of a sudden now I feel like I'm living on a runway. It's crazy. Hey, Brian, good to see you. I hope you're doing great. Darcy, we're going through with our daughter in college selection. Which college will return best investment regarding degree and job placement? If you choose inaction, yeah. See, there you go. Absolutely. Uh, and that's that's always a question too, isn't it? When it comes to college, was talking to a buddy whose daughter is in college. We were talking yesterday, and the total cost is 75 grand a year for this college. I mean, that's room and board and tuition and books and fees and everything else, but 75 grand a year. And you wonder, is that worth, is a degree from that particular institution worth not only the price, but the cost? In other words, if she had a degree from XYZ University, would her return in life, how would it change? How would it vary? And you know what? There's no book, and that's why people talk about price more than cost. Because I can tell you exactly what the price is. I have to think and reason and speculate and not really know 100% what the cost is going to end up being. I have to be able to think about it and to reason with it. There you go, Jerry, sitting here working on the final draft of your next book and looking for the ROI for the work. Yeah, and the return on that, Jerry, I think comes in so many ways, doesn't it? The return comes in so many ways. There's a return of, hey, I get this much money from book sales. But I've seen so many folks, if that's the only way you think about it, then you've missed the boat. I mean, in terms of the cost of inaction might mean that you don't advance your intellectual property, you don't advance your client base, you don't advance. I mean, it's so much there. So that's really, really important. Yeah. And kid, I believe that with all my heart, is that so many times it almost always exceeds the price. Yeah. Donovan, price always be part of the value equation, rarely the determining factor and completely misunderstood. Thank you. I appreciate that because it's one of those things that we evaluate. But see, customers have to make a decision. And so often that decision is made as quickly as it can be made, or it's made without, that's I'll say it again. I hear people say sales is a numbers game, right? The more calls I make, the more sales I make. And I think that's true to a degree. But again, it's like the vaccine for COVID. They say it's 95% effective, and we all go, yay. But what if they turned around and said, yeah, but 50% of you are going to get a heart attack from it? Now, they're not going to do that. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is now all of a sudden you would go, well, gosh, I'm not taking that, because you need to know all the numbers. That's part of why this clinical sort is to get all the numbers, not just a number, which is part of the bad thing about how the press comes out and talks about it, because it's talking about a number as opposed to all the numbers. But we don't have the attention span for that, most of us, so we focus on just one thing. Look, at the end of the day, we got to know all the numbers, or as many numbers as we can reasonably acquire, because that's going to teach us not just price, but cost. Charles, writing the book because you learn so much more on the subject, unless you're pulling it from somewhere. Charles, that's part of why I continue to write. I learn so much every time I write. And, one of the things, like when I wrote Iconic, the whole thing about playing offense, I would not have written had I not done the research for the book. Because I always thought defense wins championships, protect your turf. That's not what wins. Going negative, really getting with it and drilling deep about what's wrong. I'm a positive guy. I didn't want to focus on that. It really surprised me. I did the research, I learned. So you are exactly right. You learn so much when you go through that process. Well, hey, everybody, I hope you learned a little something today. It's always great sharing with you, and I'll look forward to checking in again with you tomorrow on Daily Distinction. Don't forget, set an alarm, set a timer. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock Pacific, Ken and Glenn and a guy named Scott. And Glenn was going to be on the road probably from somewhere. So we'll check that out. It'd be good to connect with everybody again. I'll connect with you again tomorrow, same time on Daily Distinction. Have a great Saturday, everybody. I'll see you soon.